Hi. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the tools that I use to make felt forward figures. Scissors are very important. I use Fiskars non-stick titanium scissors. I also have a very small pair of super sharp scissors. They have a very, very sharp point to them. I use Aleene's tacky glue. I usually keep it upside down when I'm working. I have my tape dispenser with tape, extra rolls of tape. I use adhesive magnetic strip for the back. I also will use Velcro and sometimes sandpaper. And I have a hot glue gun when I need that. Some of the felt that I use, my favorite felt to work with for the backs is stiffened felt. You can get this at A.C. Moore or Joann Fabric or Michaels, and also just regular felt squares that you can get at the same place. I always look for cheap ribbon. This is great to use on your felt figures. It's great because when you cut it, it doesn't fray. I look for black contact paper, which I use for eyes on my felt figures. And I look for fancy scrapbooking papers that I might want to use. I use these for birthday candles in one felt set that I made. And you also want to look for specialty felt. This was a tie-dye felt square that I picked up at A.C. Moore for Leo Leone's color of my own, and also the tiger felt that I picked up when I wanted to make his story. Hi, so now I'm going to show you how to make a dinosaur out of felt collage. I first learned this technique from the book The Flannel Board Storytelling Book by Judy Sierra. You're going to begin with a pattern. My pattern happens to be a dinosaur. I've already cut it out of the paper, and I'm going to cut it out from a piece of black felt. For this felt set, I decided to use black stiffened felt. I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to put one piece on the back of the paper pattern. This is just to secure it while I cut it out. And after I do that, I'm going to take more tape, and I'm going to tape the pattern all around the dinosaur, paying special attention to those tricky areas where I have right corners or turns, especially his horns. I'm going to tape it all the way around, and then I'm going to take my scissors and cut it out. But while I cut it out, I'm not going to cut out any part of the pattern line. I'm going to cut right outside the lines. I'm done, and I take off my paper pattern, and now I have the back of my dinosaur. The next part I call cutting off his head. My dinosaur is in 3 parts: his horns, his head, and his body. So I need to cut off the horns because I'm going to make those out of a different color felt. And now I'm going to cut off his head. So each part of the pattern will be made out of a different color felt. If you were going to do a little girl and she had a hat and her face and her dress and her shoes, you would do the same technique. And again, I call it cutting off their heads because that's what you need to do. So now I'm going to take my blue felt because I'm going to have a blue dinosaur, and I'm going to do the same exact thing using my tape. Put a piece of tape on the back and tape all around it. And now, this time, when I go to cut out the figure from the colored felt, I am going to cut out the pattern lines. And I always do my inside cuts first, which I will demonstrate in a minute, as soon as I get done taping the head to the blue felt. Okay. So now, notice that there's an inside leg line for the dinosaur. I'm going to secure it with one more piece of tape. This just helps to reinforce it while I cut it out. And now with my scissors, I'm going to cut out the pattern line. This means that there's going to be an opening where his leg shows, so that when it goes over the black felt, you will be able to see it. It creates a stained glass look. Then I'm going to take my scissors, and now I'm going to actually cut off the pattern lines from the pattern. You can see in the paper patterns that you can't see any black lines. I place my cut pieces over the black part, and he's almost done. I just have to cut out his horns. I'm going to use green glitter felt for his horns, and I'm going to take a big piece of tape and I'm going to secure the horn to the green felt just with one big piece of tape. And now I'm going to use my really sharp scissors, and when I cut out the horns, I'm going to cut off the lines completely. This means that it's going to be a little bit smaller than the pattern and a little bit smaller than the black backing. So when the horn goes on, it's going to really stand out. Once I do the horns, my dinosaur is pretty much done. I just have to glue it up with the glue and add an eye, and then I'm all done. And you can see all of the other dinosaurs I've made using this technique. I love the felt collage technique. I think it results in beautiful felt figures. They last a very long time. They look great. And I'm just really happy that I got to share that with you today. And if you have any questions, you can always visit my blog at mystorytimelife.blogspot.com. Thanks. When you create your felt collection, you're going to need to decide how you're going to store your collections. There are plenty of things you can buy. This is my preferred choice of storing something that I've made. This is a Staples plastic folder that has a string on it. And inside I have my monsters that I made. These are Jane's monsters, but I made these. Everything goes right into its plastic bag. The other choice is the same bag, except legal size. This is what I keep my Very Hungry Caterpillar in because the butterfly is very big. And just a note, when you have really large pieces, for example, the butterfly in Eric Carle's Very Hungry Caterpillar, I actually made it in 2 pieces. So when I go to tell the story, it connects together with a piece of Velcro, and when I go to store the story, I can. Another way to store them are these new Ziploc bags that they have at Staples, which I absolutely love. They're just a little bit expensive. And inside I have my colored elephants that I made, and I also have a copy of the flannel song that goes with the elephants. Some libraries will use hanging bags, and I highly recommend these as a great way to store your flannels. Use the ones that are yucky, that way the tech processing people won't get mad at you. I really shouldn't say that. But anyway, for using all of their supplies. This happens to be the bushes and leaves for this book called Guess Who Lives Here? And it's always a good idea, if you can, and your library can afford it, to store the copy of the book inside the bag that goes with your story. Other libraries will use these hanging zipper bags. These are fabulous to use. They come in all different sizes. And this one you can see is from something that they no longer needed this bag for, so I used it. And inside I have my fishes for my box rhyme, 5 Little Fishes, which I'm going to show you later on. And I also do the Mother Goose on the Loose program, so I use also one of these plastic folders, and inside here you'll find my Humpty Dumpty on the wall. They slides right in. These are flannels that I use twice a week, unlike some of the other collections that I might only use once a season. And I have my Baba Black Sheep. I have all of my nursery rhymes, Hickory Dickory Dock. I have my animal pieces for when we do the animal book that she has us do. I can't remember the name of it. And everything is in here. I also have an ice cream cone that's in there for Do you know the ice cream man? I have my two little dicky birds that we also use for Mother Goose on the Loose. This isn't an ideal way to store your flannel figures, but it helps when you're doing a program twice a week, which is what I do at my library. Flannel and felt boards come in all different types of colors. This one is a light blue flannel board, so if you have a light blue flannel board in your library, you probably want to stay away from using light blue. You have to put water on here. You're going to want to use a dark blue felt. This is a black flannel board, which means you're going to want to stay away from using really dark jewel-toned colors like the purple dinosaur. Probably wouldn't be my first pick of purple if I had a black flannel board. This is a red flannel board, so keep in mind if you're doing 5 red apples and you have a red flannel board, you probably want to change that to 5 green apples. This is also a magnetic flannel board, and what I like about that is that you can make flannel pieces backed on magnets and hide things behind them. So these are my houses. I usually have 6 or 7 houses, but only 3 for you today. And we have our rhyme. Are you in the blue house, blue house, blue house? Are you in the blue house, little mouse? And when we take away our blue house, our mouse is not there. On the back of my house, I use cereal box cardboard. It's very easy to cut and to draw on. And on the back is hot glued a big fat magnet. So now, if I say, are you in the gray house, gray house, gray house? And there he's hiding. He is a felt mouse, and he will not stick to the cardboard that's backed on my house. On the other side, I have pieces from a story called Guess Who Lives Here? And instead of using magnets and cardboard or cereal boxes, I just used foam, but foam doesn't stick to felt. So on the back, I used small foam pieces, hot glued on, and on top of those pieces I hot glued sandpaper because sandpaper will stick to felt. So who lives behind the reeds? A fish lives behind the reeds. Who lives in the grass? You got it. A snail lives in the grass. And who lives in the leaf? A ladybug. She lives on the leaf.